Hey, John, kind of short, but kind of a powerful intro for our Let Him Run podcast here. John, how do you like the new intro, John?
I just like it showing horses instead of football. So we're on the right page.
Right, a couple of times we had an intro, Mike. That was horses or for football. Not that we couldn't talk about that, but today is a big Let Him Run podcast once again. Here, I am Freddie York with my co-host John Costin. I am here stuck on the windy, cold, breezy East Coast. John and Mike are out there in Del Mar, live at Del Mar, watching day one of the Breeders' Cup. John, take a minute, please, and tell us a little about what's going on and introduce our guest who's joining us today.
Let's see. That right there, that's our view from the first race when we were, sitting there overlooking the finish line. So
that's pretty nice.
Spectacular out here in California. The weather's perfect, and we are in the Breeders' Cup betting challenge room right now. It's full of handicappers.
Oh, wow.
Each put up $10,000 per entry to enter this contest. So it's the Super Bowl of handicapping contest. So to finish top in this tournament would be, really a feather in your cap and a notch on your belt. So Mike's participating this year, and I have two different entries for two different groups of people. So we got, 3 shots at this, and hopefully somebody can make a run. And I'll introduce, our special guest today, Mike Circione from the Houston area. Spends a lot of his time also in Arkansas by Oaklawn Racetrack. So,
cool.
He's a veteran of the game, and qualified, won many tournaments to qualify into the big events. He's still trying to get to the NHC with us. That's his next goal there, and make a big run in the Breeders' Cup. But I guess he's the founder of one of the horse racing groups. Is how I met Mike. Just a bunch of guys, like to bet horses, joined partnerships on different pick fives and bets, and introduce some new people to the game. And he's great at that, introducing new people to get involved with our group betting structure, and they get to root along with us. And just a lot of fun meeting a lot of new people with common interests. So Mike, thanks a lot for joining us, sitting right next to me here in Del Mar.
Yeah, nice to be here. Thanks for the invite, and good luck today. So it's pretty exciting to be in here in this contest room with all these great players. And got to spend a lot of time in Keeneland playing in some tournaments, Hawthorne, and a lot of the horse tourneys, like John said, to try to qualify up to get into some of the bigger events. So a lot of fun, and excited to be here. Enjoy your guys' podcast.
I appreciate that, Mike. And again, I think what you just touched on is like super important. Getting people involved in horse racing, the enjoyment of horse racing, the camaraderie of horse racing. Don't get me wrong, we all like to win. No question about that. We put our heart and soul into the races we handicap, which we're going to do shortly, Mike. So a pleasure to have you here. Appreciate it. Look forward to hearing your comments. And John, as you know, Mike, you may not know, I am certainly giving my all to get involved in horse racing. I'm not going to say unfortunately still working, but I am still working. I am a full-time physical therapist, so I spend a lot of time head and shoulders, knees and toes, doing that kind of stuff. I also spent some time working at the driving range. And so, John, we don't have a very good graphics department, but we do have a good sort of that puts together some promotions. This is a candle burning at both ends, John. That's what I'm doing right now. I don't want to set the house on fire, so let me blow them out right now. Just thought I'd start again. Great graphic, no graphics, but we have some good props in our good prop department here in our show. So it's pretty funny, good stuff. So okay, let's put that away, John, and get down to racing. How's the track there? Fast and firm, I imagine, guys.
As it always is, beautiful conditions out there, just about 80 degrees, absolutely perfect. And what we noticed yesterday, Mike brought it up last night as we were talking, that a lot of horses came up the rail, stayed on the rail, and came up on the inside to win some races. So keep an eye on that, inside the rail, and don't be afraid to, come up the rail instead of swinging wide. So we're going to try to keep an eye on that for, the early races today. And yesterday, our, podcast, what a fun time with, Gus and Ed. Did get a lot of traction. I saw, there's close to 3,000 views on that. So, thanks for people for checking that out, and really appreciate it.
Absolutely, that was fantastic. Listening to both Gus and Ed was really and also, they gave out some of their big picks for tomorrow who they like, and then certainly that information is going to be utilized certainly by myself. I can guarantee you that. But okay, you guys ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's go. Get them going.
All right, so race four is the British Cup Fillet Mare Sprint, 7 furlongs with a decent field. We'll start off going up to John. We'll go down to. We'll just keep it that way. We'll let John start off, and then Mike, and then I'll finish up, and we'll go into the next race. So, John, who do you like here?
This race has me baffled. I don't like none of the favorites. I think they all have knocks on them. Hope Road, could be that good. Splendora, the two with Pratt, I definitely have him high up there for Baffert. Loves Delmar, 3 for 3 here, so could be good. But I just see so much speed in this race. All of them, basically 9 out of the 10, mixing it up on the front end somehow, somewhere along the way. And the only proven closer in the field is the one Zeltos. So a little off form the last 3 races, but somebody that can definitely pick up the pieces as everybody else is staggering in the stretch, just like Soldier Matter last year from last to first, swooped over the field that just killed themselves on the front end. I could say it's very similar to that race, very similar type horse that looks overmatched and then just blows by him just because of the pace setup. So 30 to 1, we're going to be keying the one in second and third for sure, with no standout winner to me. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, so I equally thought this was a tough race. My top pick is Hope Road. Last time out, it was a super fast pace. I think they went 22 splits for the first half mile there, so it was 44 and a half. That's fast. But Hope Road drew away from Cilia in the last 16th. I liked seeing that. I expect the same type of trip here. I don't think it'll be quite as fast, but I do like Hope Road a lot here. It's probably going to be for me to play in the BCBC. It's probably going to be one of my first plays. I'm against Sweet Azteca, just straight up. I think we're going to see somebody else kind of come up and beat them. And the second choice I have is Splendora. So if you take a look at her, she's won most of her races. I think she's been first or second in 8 of the 9 races, always right there in winner place. She was up against Hope Road, Copian. Copian's going to go a little shorter later in the card. So I really think that at 8 to 1, it's a good price for her. So if there's a way for me to do an exacta around Hope Road and Splendora, I think that you might get the third and fourth choices in this race. So I think there's some value there. So that's how I'm looking to play the race for.
Yeah, I think you guys touched on a couple horses I like as well too. I really like Hope Road as well. I think if you put a line through that race 2 back, he got bumped around. It was only 6 furlongs. Didn't run a good race, but he's put up some serious buyer speed figures in those 3 races when you draw a line through that race. Loves 7 furlongs in terms of the ability to run. Only won once at 7 furlongs, but I think with Ortiz getting back on him again, that's pretty big. And this horse is working out tremendously to get back into this race. Getting ready for this. He's been off since August. I think he's sitting on a big race, or she's sitting on a big race. I think that could be a good pick. So I definitely agree with you there, Mike, for sure. The other horse I kind of like a little bit, and is Richie from Chile. Bob Baffert and one of his other entrants there. He's changing to Saez. The horse kind of has speed. Last time out, ran a good race, came in second, and looked pretty good running that race. The other 3 races, he looked good. I love the change to Saez. I think one of the best gate jockeys there is. So going to give that chance. That horse. I know there's a ton of speed out there for sure. I think that's why, John. I think your pick, the number 1 horse, that looks like a good possibility. So got some wide open. 7 furlongs is always tricky distance. We all know that. Even in experienced races like this, the Breeders' Cup, 7 furlongs still can create one of John and I's favorite word. John, what's our favorite word we like to hear when we like to create in races? We like to create chaos. So I think that. That race has a chance to have some chaos. All right, let's move on to the next race, the 5th race. This is the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. 5 furlongs on the turf. Always some crazy stuff happening here. John, what do you got here, brother?
I've been all around with this race, and I know the inside, you got to save ground on Del Mar turf, and last year's Breeders' Cup proved it. The inside 1, 2, 3, and 4 posts that saved the ground usually, came through some form. So I am on the 5 right now. I'm going to forgive the Woodbine race. 12-1, you're getting on Bring the Band Home for Mark Hasse. Wouldn't have shipped here if something did go amiss in that race and didn't come out of it good. But you go back to those Saratoga races and you're running 109, 105 Beyer speed figures and doing it easily. Goes back to anywhere near that, just bottoms out this field and just says goodbye. The 2, Reef Runner, is probably my second pick, but I will use the 2 and the 5 probably about the same. Reef Runner, since he was gelded, he's 3 for 3 since he was gelded, so he really picked it up there. Motorius, who comes flying home, he'll be saving the ground, but he's that kind of horse that wants to swing wide on the outside and just come flying down the lane. But inside he might get a little tied up, and is he going to be willing to come up the rail when he has to? So he'll be the favorite, and I'm going to try to beat him with the 5 and the 2. And the other one I'll throw in is AG Bullet, who should get good stalking position, maybe sit in second if the 5 does spit the bit like he did last time. I think the 8 will be the first one to get the run on him. And then other than that, Arizona Blue, the best of the European shippers, ran second in this race last year at 27-1. You're not going to get that this year. And from what I'm hearing about all the turf sprinters in Europe this year, they were not that good. So I'm going to hang my hat on that and just stick with the 5-2 and a little bit of the 1-8. Like.
Yeah, so you guys mentioned chaos. I think we're going to see some in this race today, and because of that, I've got a price horse here. So I am basically tossing Notorious and Agbull. I think that there is going to be a pace. Your 5, John, I think is going to be out there with the 10 probably pretty close to the pace. I'm going to go with the 11, Bucanero Forte. I think it's 20-1. Ran a pretty good closing third back in Ireland not too long ago behind Arizona Blaze. You kind of watch that replay. I think he had a little left. I think there was a pretty good wind against him as well. So, when you're looking for chaos, you got to look for a price. I don't really like the favorites very much. The knock that I guess I have on myself on the 11 is I'm not real happy about the jockey. I'd rather, Umberto. Hopefully the horse is good enough to overcome that, to be honest with you. And second, I got Arizona Blaze, and then the 10, She's So Spicy. I hope, although she's going to be up on the lead, I think close to the 5. I think she's good enough to hang on in this distance. So anyway, I'm gonna go with the 11. I'm gonna try to do a double, try to figure out a way, maybe even exactly to try to make some value out of it.
Mike, I think those are good picks. I kind of like many of the horses you mentioned. John, the horse I love is the horse you and I talked about in the show that we went when the early past performances came out. Reef Runner, you made a tremendous point. Since that horse got gelded, his Beyer speed figures have gone up. He's gotten better and better each race out. I mean, you can't deny the change in that horse in terms of the figures, the way that horse is run. And in my opinion, another positive, getting Tyler Gaffalione on that horse, that's going to make it an even better possibility. And at 6-1, I hope he stays at 6-1, but he's been a different horse. He likes the distance. I mean, he's run it 12 times. He's been in the money 11 times, won 3 times, came in second and third 4 times. So if I'm hanging my hat, and I'm not in the Breeders' Cup tournament like you guys are, but I certainly would not leave that horse out of any bets that you're doing. And Mike, I think you said you liked Arizona Blaze. The Euro Runner. Is that who you said you liked, Mike? Yeah, I follow that horse as well. Second choice.
Yeah.
Another horse that loves the distance. 7 times. Been in the money all 6 of the 7 times. And again, any horse coming from Europe's got to be taken seriously. And the rider David Egan's pretty solid too. So again, another race where you can make a case for a lot of horses, but we made a cases for the couple horses we like. So How about we move on to the next race, the 6th race at Del Mar, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, 6 furlongs. Another race with some opportunity in here. I think I know John likes, because we talked about that a little bit a couple of days ago. But John, why don't you kick it off, John?
I'm going to take it off mute. We're trying to mute it because a lot of background noise going on here at the track. So that was Mike's ticket. Not Mike, Chloe's. Yeah.
John, background noise at the track? Really?
There's a little bit here. Yeah. All right. Let's see. This race here, the 10, I think, is the best horse. Almost won it last year. You're not getting that crazy price on him this year. His comeback race visually was, one of the most spectacular sprint races that, we've seen all year, other than the Bookham Dano races. And Bookham Dano is not here. So the only fear I got is what kind of, trip is he going to get from there? Because the 11, 12, 13, they're the three big speed horses. If all three of them get the jump and he doesn't get out of there real quick, they're all coming across on him, and who the heck knows what could happen. So the horse I wound up going with here, that if, Chaos starts on the front end, and somebody that is proven at the distance, he looks like he's overmatched, but he's been running distance races. But go back to his two sprint races, and he's 2 for 2. Number 2, Banishing. It's Dutro's horse. Is that Dutro? Chad Summers has it here now because Dutro didn't get his workers' comp insurance in time, so they transferred it to Chad's barn for this race. But absolutely, a hard knocker that shows up all over the country, every race, every type of race. So I think that he'll sit a good trip in there and then just angle out like he did in his sprints, and maybe get a jump on some of these and run them down. Another long shot I'm going to throw in there is the 5, Richard Mandella, coming off, a long layoff, but the series of works. If this horse can jump up and get that, 5th, 6th, 7th place, behind the early speed, and then, maybe him and the 2 and the 5 come as a team and pass some of the early stuff. But, I'm going to use the 2 and the 5 prominently at the prices they're going to be. And the 5, Bertinato, is probably, the best in the race, but is he going to win it? Copian, the one on the rail that opted for this race, I don't know why, but drew the rail, unfortunately. Can definitely close, but 6 furlongs is not this, Philly's best distance. It's 7, and that would have hit her between the eyes with the Philly Mare Sprint. So can she close in the 6? But she'll, get a good trip on the inside, and we'll see what happens there. But at that price, I'll try to beat her a little bit, even though I just love Copian as a horse. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think I can argue too much with what you said. The 10 was my top pick. I think that horse has raced in much better fields than what he's up against today, to be honest with you, at least the last 5 times out. He came off that year layoff and ran his largest time form spot in that first race. So you got to believe he's training well. He's ready to go after that race. So, again, I think that he should be the clear favorite here. Prior to that, he beat Straight No Chaser, right? Who's entered in races later on. Copian on the rail, I think, is probably the biggest threat, I thought. But the way that I'm going to play this one is the 10 on top, and I like the 9 and the 5 as prices underneath. And I think, John, you mentioned Big City Lights is the 5, so and I think the 9's a little bit of a sneaky horse that might be able to come up late. So I'm looking at doing it basically an exacta with the 10 on top and a couple of horses underneath.
$5.40 to win.
Can't argue with that. I'm with you guys regarding who you both believe is the best horse in the race. Number 10, Bentornato, absolutely loves the distance. 10 times, won 6 times, came in second twice and third twice. Buyer speed figures are huge. But I'm going to throw out there a long shot that I'm very interested in seeing this horse run. Again, you mentioned the outside post, John, but this horse I think has a big chance. The number 13, Madhouse. It's 30-1 morning line, perhaps a little bit out of his class, but I think he's been getting a little better each time these races have been run. Would need to step up for sure, but I'm going to take a shot and use this horse in some exactas and trifectas, maybe even a Christmas tree trifecta, John, as you talked about that in our some of our betting strategies. But he's got some things that attract me, and I know, John, we talk about, and I talk a lot about Brisbane and what they offer. I mean, he is the lone E, not the lone speed, but got the lone E, and it's an E8, which means something to me. He's also been given the designation as a leader in the time form US pace that they put some information out. They'll label speed horses as speed, just saying they have speed, which many of them do, or a horse that's also a leader. So my opinion, this horse has two things going for him. The L as a leader and then E8 and a high early time form pace figure. Again, I'm not sure he's going to win the race, but if you're looking for some value underneath, I wouldn't leave that horse out. Again, with Louis Saez jumping on him too. I think, again, we all know how good Saez is as a gate jockey, getting horses out. He gets a clean break. There are other speed horses in the race, but that certainly would be interesting to take a look at it. All right, let's go on to race 7, guys. The Breeders' Cup Distaff. It is a 1.1 miles on the dirt. This is another interesting race with some big names in this race. John, who do you think you're going to lean on here, my friend?
Let's see. Seismic Beauty, you got to either take a stand with her, that her speed figures just tower over those last 2 races, just bottomed out the field.
They do.
Kept going. Whether she could get this 1.1 miles against this competition. She did it against, Copian last time, but Copian was out of her element 1.16 miles and closed up their second. That's not her game. So you're either with this one or hopefully she gets tired in the stretch and then hope for some things underneath. Interesting ones I find, which I'm going to key around the 13 horse Regaled. And then I heard some other, top guys, liked it as well. Ed, who joined us yesterday as we're having lunch, he did point out that, that's his pick there for the race. And, the more I looked at it the last, 5 days, that's who I got on here. Just the buyer speed fingers are proving basically right there with Nitrogen. Nitrogen runs 93, 95, and this one's running 92, 94s. We're getting 13-1 or 3-1. And this horse is getting better and better. Can sit off the pace and make that run. So I'm definitely including the 13. 12 is somebody that we've caught a couple times at big prices. So I'm going to definitely use her. And then the 2 is interesting with Iggy Correas, his last starter as a trainer, and then he's moving to Argentina. So why would Ortiz pick up the mount on this one and leave Cliquette, who just won the Grade 1 at Parks in the Cotillion? So Irad's leaving that one to ride this horse for Iggy Correas. He knows how to win this race. He won it in 2019 with Blue Prize, ran second in 2023. So he knows how to prep a horse for this. This horse has been in the States for, many months. And it looks like, with the blinkers added, the last couple workouts probably included the blinkers. So hopefully she runs good with blinkers. And as a price, maybe the 13 and the 2, something crazy happens. So I'll have a couple, bucks on them too, somehow mixed in case if Seismic Beauty goes all the way. Maybe I'll use those underneath. So curious to see what Mike thinks about, Seismic Beauty's chances.
Yeah, I picked Seismic Beauty. I mean, I looked at, my full card. I have some high-priced horses in some other places. So, these next 2 races, I'm kind of looking at being pretty chalky. So, Seismic Beauty obviously ran a monster race last time out, huge numbers. If you look at her races, she's progressed in distances 6 from 7, and then, a mile, then 1 mile and a 16th, and 1 mile and 8, then came back to 16. So, and each time she's done that, she's ran really, really well. So I kind of like to see that growth as it progresses like that. Never really took a step back. So to me, if I had to pick a single, this could be one of the areas to do that. And then underneath, I had the 3 Cliquet. Going a little bit more distance, I don't think that's going to be a problem. And then I also had, I took a look at the 10 and the 13. So John mentioned the 13, Regal. And then the 10, Gunsong. I've watched that horse ever since it came onto the scene. Very, very big, long shot. But if I was going to play underneath, I would put it underneath. So, sorry, we got some music here in the room here.
I thought you were at the track. It sounds like you're at an opera.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm pretty heavy on Seismic Beauty in this race.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything. The other thing that I picked up on too is I really love the 13 Regaled as well. He's getting better and better. when this horse got in the barn of Whit Beckman, that's when the horse got much better and consistent. Got the highest late U.S. time form figure. I know that doesn't always mean the horse is going to win, but when you look at all the other time form late pace figures in here, other than size and confused early, other than really not too many horses anywhere near 126 for the late pace time form figure. So that's another reason why I like that horse also at 30-1. And again, I don't disagree with Seismic Beauty being probably the horse to beat. No question about that. Mike, you mentioned it might be a horse to single in your horizontal bets. It's probably going to happen for a lot of people. But if you find a horse you think can beat that horse, that's when your pick 5 or any other horizontal bets get pretty big. Okay, let's go to a pretty interesting race here. I love marathon turf races, and John knows why I love them, and he'll probably know what horse I'm going to be looking at when we get to my option here. But this is the Breeders' Cup Turf, a 1.5 mile on the turf, pretty interesting field. There's 2 horses I like, but I'll wait till it's my turn because I want to hear what John says. John, why don't you go ahead and lead us off?
Most people, a lot of fans, a lot of handicappers, think it's a 2-horse race between, Rebels Romance, the 1, and the 3-year-old Phenom from Charlie, Aidan O'Brien's barn, Minnie Hawk, who just missed in the arc. So my thought is, if she was the winner of the arc, would they have shipped her over here? Since she got nipped, this might be a secondary plan, and maybe let's just try for the Breeders' Cup instead. We're just missing the arc, but no taking away how talented she is. Definitely going to be a prominent use. The 1 Rebels Romance going for 3 Breeders' Cups, which is just amazing.
Right.
So everybody's cheering as a fan for him, but got to try to create value somewhere in this race. It's a very great edition of this race, and it's a lot deeper than people think. The 2 Goliath, on his best day, he can run with these for sure. My pick is going to wind up being the French horse coming over from the Irish St. Ledger Stakes, Amalak, the 3. I think the price is going to be right, done really nothing wrong. He ran 5 out of 6, just missed in his last race in the Irish St. Ledger Stakes, which years past it produced many Breeders' Cup winners that came out of that race. So that is a stepping stone for people prepping for this, and this was on the agenda the whole season. So horse pointed for this race. Sure. At that price, I'm going to take a shot with him. And El Cordobas, Charlie Appleby, did make a comment in an interview that don't fall asleep on this one at that price, because he's figured it out, and he'll come closing. And I think he got a little bit of trouble last time. If not, he would have been a little closer to Rebels Romance. So I'm going to sprinkle in the 10 a little bit with the 3 and the obvious 2 favorites, the 1 and the 8 and the 2. So Mike, take it away.
Yeah, so we're pretty close on this one. I am Minnie Hawk on top. Again, I said I was going to be kind of chalky through that double here. But the 10 and the 3 are 2 as well, John, that I had on my radar. Rebels Romance, I think that's going to be a popular pick for a lot of people after what the horse has done in the past, and Breeders' Cups in the past and whatnot. But if you look at the 10, the 10's ran against Rebels Romance and has been relatively close. I think maybe not the exact same form, but you could see that horse coming late and winning this thing. So, I am high on the 8 with Minnie Hawk, but the 3 Emelot, like you mentioned, the 10 are the other ones that I had on my lists. I didn't dive too deep into this race, to be completely honest with you, because I was so chalky. So that's about my opinion for this one.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think you're right, Mike. Minnie Hawk is going to be the one to beat. John, you pointed this out when we looked at this race earlier, that when Minnie Hawk lost by a head, it was 5 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher. So lost by a head at the wire, but there was no other horse close to either of those 2 horses. So I think that gives that horse kind of a big edge. And then I like that number 10, El Cordobas, too. Again, I might as well get, instead of wearing this Let Him Run hat, John, I think I need to talk to Gus about maybe getting a Brisnet hat, because there's another element of why I think this horse has a big chance to win, besides the points you guys already made about Appleby being the trainer, etc. and it's because again they rate these horses ES, EP, or presser, and then they talk about what percentage these horses win the races, meaning these style races in terms of the distance and surface. This horse is the only horse in there that has a P4, which is a presser. The 4 is just in terms of how quickly he gets out of the gate. And out of the 14 races that have been run at this distance at Del Mar, 43% win rate with a horse that has that P4 rating. So I think that horse is a huge use, as you guys already mentioned, for the different reasons you mentioned. I just think this just adds another layer to why you like that horse, and I don't blame it at all. I have another horse that I know is crazy, John. I know I'm going to be crazy. I know you're going to say you're crazy because you never said that to me before. But anyway, I think this horse, the number 7, Salawe, an Ireland-bred horse, who's getting a better jockey now on Doyle, trained by a trainer you don't really know that much, Jahani, wins some races. This horse raced for the first time in America up at Woodbine, 1.5 miles on the turf. Tawny Port was second. Okay, Nation's Pride was third. Tawny Port's also 30-1 in this race. I just think the upgrade of the jockey in this race, again, at 30-1, not going to win the race with the quality of the horse. But I think that horse can be used in some trifectas and exactas. And John, you know I love speed. Again, he's a lone E in this race. And then again, I put my hat on that quite a bit. We'll see how it works out. But I think, again, he's up against it a little bit, but I don't mind taking a shot at a horse at 30-1 to use underneath in some way in some of those vertical bets. But on that note, we can move on to the 9th race, the big race of the day. They're calling this the race of the year. It's very, very sad and unfortunate, and I hope Sovereignty is doing well in terms of all the people in his in this group, in terms of the trainers, the owners, and all that. Hope he's doing well, and we'll go from there. So let's get to this race, the Breeders' Cup Classic, 1.25 miles. And we'll see who we like there. We know that there's who else scratched in there? It was just Locked also scratched early on in Sovereignty. And we know on the Breeders' Cup, or the Breeders' Cup show we had last night, I won't spill any beans here, John, but we know who Ed liked. Oh, Mark says Salava has looked incredible on the tracks during the workouts. FYI, well, TY to you, Mark. We appreciate hearing that. That's pretty good stuff. And then we'll talk about the thoughts on the Kentucky Downs runners, which we covered that last night. But John, why don't you talk about who you like here in this race?
Yep. Mark, thanks for commenting on that. Good to catch up with you a few minutes before this podcast. I saw him and his lovely wife up on the Beach House restaurant overlooking the paddock. So I'll spend a little more time with Mark a little later, but thanks for pointing that out.
Awesome.
I did not see it. It works on TV. So Fred likes it. Mark commented. So it's almost like a, use underneath somewhere for sure on that horse.
Sure.
Moving on to the Classic. We get to the last race of the day. Now this is the big, it's not the last race of the day. What am I saying? It's right in the middle of the card, the Classic. Oh, geez. All right. Football rules. We know.
I know you love that, John. You really love that. You love that.
I know. All right. So, you could go a million different ways. If Sovereignty, I wanted as a horse racing fan to see Sovereignty in the race. If he beat me, because I was not going to lean on him that heavily. If he beat me, I would have probably saw greatness. So I was okay with that. Now with him out of here, it's just nobody's going to get the odds on the horse that they thought they were going to get with Sovereignty in the race. So now you got to redo your thinking and see what you're willing to accept on these different horses. I just think the race sets up for fierceness. He ran his eyeballs out. He ran the best race last year in the Classic, no doubt about it. Just missing, and losing to Sierra Leone after blistering fractions. And his race over Del Mar, the Pacific Classic, was just incredible. The trouble that he overcame. So I think, he'll get the good trip. Contrary thinking, the 4 doesn't even count. He can go out there as, whatever he wants to do. But fierceness will be the leader, hopefully. And then, Forever Young, you just don't know how he's going to, come off, the one race back off the layoff. I'm cheering for Forever Young. I've been on him since he, should have won the Kentucky Derby, last year. So they're my 2, but Mindframe is just one of my favorite horses. Neat, really is so close to being undefeated. I mean, he is just, steps away from being, 8 for 8, right now. So, you got the journalism. The Now horse that was all spring long before Sovereignty came along. He's danced every dance. Antiquarian's getting better every time. Sierra Leone, the defending champ. If they mix it up, can she come flying? He'd come flying. Nevada Beach, who will be definitely heard from next year, but is he ready for this now? And Baeza. So they all got a chance in my mind. I just think the race, the way it sets up, I'll lean on Fierceness, but if it goes down to 2-1, it's just not worth it against these hard hitters.
Yep.
So, all right. So, I could talk all day about these horses, but Mike, I know has an interesting spin on it, and we talked a lot about it. So definitely listen to what Mike has to say, and maybe I'll
all right. Let's hear it.
Maybe I'll include.
Yeah, so coming out here, talk to people at the airport, on the planes. I mean, everybody's talking about the classic, and I'll have to say the same thing. I really wanted to see Sovereignty, right? I mean, everybody wanted to be there. I was there for Flightline when that was an amazing race at Keeneland.
Oh, wow.
Something that I'll always remember, right? And I was really thinking this race was going to be the same thing, right? And it still will be, but having Sovereignty in it would have been something else, right? So when I start diving into this and talking to people, I haven't heard the word journalism come up at all. Like everybody here at the track, everybody I'm talking to, my friends online, a lot of Forever Young, a lot of Baeza, but no one's saying journalism. And I can't really figure out why. I know, obviously, him up against Sovereignty, he just couldn't get it done, right? He's second. But no one else has beat him except for Fierceness in the Pacific Classic. Over here not too long ago, right? So when I started looking at this, and I mentioned earlier about the jockeys, he's got a huge jockey upgrade, and one that's going to put him in a better position than he's ever in. That poor horse has had to fight and against, in my opinion, a bit of a jockey every single race, and he's done amazing things by boiling through horses, finding seams, and doing all these things that he never should have to do in these major races. So my view on this is a huge jockey upgrade, a horse that we know has the power and the kick to get it done. The question is going to be, is Sierra Leone going to come and get him at the end, like we've seen happen a couple times? That concerns me, of course. I think Fierceness is tough. I mean, in the Pacific Classic, he jeered in a little bit on that start and made an unbelievable race out of it to win it at the end. I know that they've extended that rail a little bit, so I don't see him having that problem from the end. But I've loved journalism all year long. I don't see a reason to jump off, especially with Jose now riding them. And this is an unbelievable field. It's going to be an amazing race, and I'm hoping I can get maybe the fourth or fifth choice in this race. It could be fourth choice, and that'd be terrific value in my eyes. So I'm going to stay where I've been all year and ride journalism.
Well, Mike, I'd like to give you a virtual fist pump there, because I also am very much into journalism. With every point you made, it's like we did a mind meld there. The jockey upgrade for sure. The horse was just born in the wrong year to be able to run every time against Sovereignty, and fought every time he races. He really races well. What a tremendous racehorse he is. I think this could be a coming out party for him. And Michael McCarthy's got this horse ready. He's training him ready to go. I just think this horse has a big chance. I agree with you 100%. I know last night our friend Ed certainly gave a lot of reasons why he liked Forever Young. I'm with you, Mike. I'm really all over journalism. Well, I hope he stays anywhere near 5-1. That would be tremendous. I think he's going to be closer to the front than Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone's going to be a little too far back, and I think you're going to see journalism get an early jump on the front runners, and Sierra Leone's not just going to have enough to get there at the end. That's how I see it playing out. So we'll see how it goes out, but that was an interesting dissection of that race, and we'll see if how we make out with that. So, okay, how about we go to race 10, a FanDuel British Cup Mile on the turf. Another interesting race with some interesting horses in it. John, why don't you take away here and lead us off again, my friend?
Yeah, I've been all over the board on this race too. Just some good ones in here. Rhetorical, the New York bred, just done nothing wrong. Everything that they asked for. Better and better speed figures every single race. So got to get a big look. He should get a great trip there. Definitely using him prominently. John Quill, who just missed against Rhetorical with a better trip,
Yeah.
would probably have won that race. So the 10 very prominent, and 11 I'm going to use both of them a lot. And I know Aidan O'Brien's horse, the Lion in Winter. He'll be placed forward, in the running position. So he's good enough from there, and he seems to really like the mile since he's been focusing on the mile. Notable Speech is going to be the talk, 2-1 with Appleby. I'm willing to try to beat him. He beat really absolutely 0 at Woodbine last time. And another one I'm going to prominently use, maybe make it my top pick, is the 3, Salon. Again, I'm going with another French horse coming out of the Prix de Le Mans from Longchamp and won that race. Definitely a good stepping stone for the Breeders' Cup. And I think he'll have that turn of foot that will be electrifying and maybe get the jump on Notable Speech. So I'm going to use the 3 and key with the 10 and the 11 as well. Johannes, I know he's undefeated here at Del Mar, but got to overlook somebody. So I'll just stick with the 3 on top with the 10 and 11.
Yeah, John, we haven't even talked about this race at all, and I am pretty much exactly with what he has. I mean, Rhetorical I have on top, number 11. The Lion in Winter was my second choice, and then Salon, the number 3, was my third choice. I mean, the two of them kind of fought back and forth in a number of races over in Europe. Both of the speed figures look great from a time form perspective. Rhetoricals, like John said, his figures continue to grow and get better. So, yeah, to me, that's those are the 3 that I'm going to absolutely lean on. So, work some trifectas and things like that with those mid-range prices.
Agree with that. John, I just want to make sure you're sitting down, John, because I am going to take a look at a closer in this race. And I know that will make you spin your head. That's why I said I wanted to make sure you were sitting down. But this horse was talked about by Gus last night. John Quill, you guys already mentioned it. Again, when Gus mentioned last night about the replay of that race, and Gus was just gushing over how this horse closed in that race, and I can see why when you watch the replay. So I think if this horse gets a little bit of a better trip, it doesn't have to weave around so much. That horse is going to be a big closer. It's got a high closing U.S. time for us, late pace of 120, 10-1, tremendous number to look at, and hope that stays like that. And again, I also like the Lion in the Winter. O'Brien's only entrant in this race. The top jockey Similian's on him. I don't think we've seen the best of that horse yet. I think he's got a good chance to show some true colors and step up a little in this race at a mile. So lots of options there, you guys. We all made some good points about why those horses could be good to take a look at. Before we get to the next race, so we only have a couple races left, guys, I do want to bring up this other question that Mark brought up on our thoughts on Kentucky Downs runners in the same year as the Breeder Cup. 0 for 125. Well, absolutely correct. And we talked about that last night with especially Ed. Ed had all kinds of numbers on that. And the thing that I want to mention about that is this is what we call the Kentucky Downs curse. But I am going to try and play again. There's a couple of horses that I like that I talked about last night on the podcast with Ed and Gus. I'm looking to break the Kentucky Downs curse, Mark. 0 for 128. That's a pretty bad number. If you were a baseball player or a basketball, you're not going to last too long with 0 for 128. But look at the podcast last night. There were a couple of horses that did run in Kentucky Downs that I kind of liked, and I'm going to take a shot with them. But we'll see how that goes, Mark. But thanks for that comment as well. I'm sure you and John can talk about that a little more later. All right, 2 races left, fellas. Ready to close it out with some good thoughts here on the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. John, why don't you? There's some interesting horses in this race. A couple of names that we all know. John, what do you think?
I think, Fred, you're going to start it off here because we got a live race at Del Mar going off race 3, and we are still alive in the pick 5. So we're going to root this one home.
Oh heck, let's just root it on, man. I want to root with you. Let's go. What kind of race is it?
What is it? The juvenile Golden State Juvenile State Bred race for Calbreds. And we are live to who we got here?
What's your route order, John? I want to hear your route order.
4-9. I'll tell you right now. 4-9, 7.
Just talk to us about the race. Forget the route order. Let's go.
12-7 is our order, and only the 6 is up there now that we don't have. The favorites leading the 9. Oh, he came over and he bumped hard. 6 is leading the rail. The 9 came over and bumped. 12 gets second. And Kelsey gets second. Yeah, come on, 12.
Under the wire front. They win it by 4 in the end.
The 9 won, but the bumping is going to be a question mark. And we don't have the 6. The worst ran second. So that would be bad if he gets disqualified. All right, let's move on to the race.
Well, hey, that was kind of cool. Little live action here from Del Mar, guys. I appreciate you letting us tune in with you there. Hopefully things are going to get better as we move on. But let's go to race 11. John, why don't you start us off? Breeder Cup Dirt Mile. Let us know what you think there, my friend.
Dirt Mile, you're either all in on Nysos or you're, totally against him. But when he makes it to the racetrack, he's a special animal. He's, 5 out of 6. He only lost a neck to mind frame in the Churchill Downs Grade 1 on a sloppy track. On a fast track, he's 5 for 5 and just basically wins by 2, 5, 7, 8, 12 lengths. So definitely, I'm going to be on the side that if he runs, Baffert has had no shame in scratching him out of big spots before. So if he makes it to the gate, he's here for business. So I'm going to lean probably heavy on the 3. And only horse I could see for, possibly second is the 4, Mystic Dan, the Derby winner from 2 years ago. So he definitely will just suck on the rail and maybe come up there, and as Nysos makes his move, Full Serrano, last year's champ, will be leading, and hopefully he spits it out once Nysos goes by, and up the rail comes running Mystic Dan. So I just see the races 3-4, and depending on where we stand in the contest, we'll have to see how we play this race, how heavily we lean on it, or play a double in the last race with Nysos. So we'll have to see, but it's all 3-4 for me. Mike?
Yeah, so the 3 is going to be overbet. I think you made mention to that. It's going to be the big favorite. So I'm looking elsewhere. I ended up picking Goal Oriented. It's a bit of a shot. 6-1 money line. I ran PA Derby back, against Bieza and Magnitude. It was only, less than 2 lengths back of that, so it's not terrible against the likes of Bieza, who could be a Triple Crown winner if it wasn't this year, just like we were talking about journalism. So goal oriented was my on top, and then Mystic Dan was my second choice. Of course, you can't not leave the 3 out. You can't leave the 3 out if you're playing anything from a horizontal standpoint. So, but not too different other than I'm going to take the price with Goal Oriented and see if he can make a run.
Yeah, I think this race has, again, make a case for a lot of the horses. There's some very good horses in this race. It's a matter of which horses are going to show up that day to run their best race. I agree with everything you said. The horse I'm taking a little bit of a look at is White Barrio. I know this horse has been not running very well lately, but I think if this horse comes out with a good race, I think Safi Joseph Jr. has kind of been pointing to this race since the last time he raced at August in Saratoga. Didn't run very well. Got bumped, lost the irons. A lot of stuff happened. And so I don't think he was ready to run that race, but he's taking him home. Got him running, got him ready at Gulfstream Park to get him going here. I know he had a couple of workouts, at least one workout up there at Del Mar. I don't know if he'll win the race, but I'm interested to see how Safi Joseph Jr. gets this horse ready to run, and then we'll see how that works out for that. And then we'll go from there to close it out here, guys. The last race, another big-time marathon turf race. John, you used the word, pardon me, Dave Weaver. But, John, when we talked about this race, you used the word ice cold exacted as Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf 1 3/8. John, can you give us a refresher on that ice cold exactly you talking about here?
Yeah, if it comes down to it in the contest, I'm willing to send it in. Kind of like the 14, no changes. They kept the horse up there, and he was the favorite. We had a scratch earlier, so in this race, so we got scratched into the favorite 2 times. So we're live on the
Oh, good.
for $1 now instead of 50 cents.
Good.
So,
Nice.
we had a good start in the first race with a nice 12-1 shot. So now we're rolling in the right.
How many legs are you in, John?
We are 3 legs in. We got 2 to go.
Great. All right. Well, good luck.
All right, so let's see. We're going to the last race of the day, depending on how we stand in the contest, or for our other bets, the last race at the late pick 5. The 14, the way outside horse, it is a 3-turn race, so I'm not too much worried about post position. 14 is just so classy. Overseas, faced the boys twice. Has held her own against all these horses she's faced over there. Other than She Feels Pretty, who wins everything here, but I think a little extra distance might get her. And the horse that almost got her last time in a photo finish was, Diamond Rain. If you go back and watch the race, Diamond Rain, had a little bit of trouble and checked back out of it. Had a bad start, spotted the field 3 lengths. Then when she zoomed up, and then when she got rolling, next jump she goes right by the 11 or 13. She feels pretty, and she could roll by and even win the race. So I think second time in the States here for Charlie Appleby, kept her here after the Woodbine race. So I think she's going to be very tough, and the 14, the classy one. So it's 6-14, 14-6 for me. I'm going to try to fade the 13 here. You got to always respect Cinderella's Dream. But my question is, why has she been running 1-mile races all year, and now they're stretching her back out to this distance? She was the favorite last year, almost won. So and then I know the horse we talked about, Fred, 2. What if, who's the speed here? Be Your Best, the 7 doesn't break, and Stellify, the 2, gets out there, all by herself on the lead, and she has done no wrong. So if she gets out there and she doesn't know she's facing, the best horses in the world behind her, turns for home.
That's what I'm hoping, John. That's what I'm hoping.
One of only 2 entries in both turf races we talked about last week. Brad Cox has no dirt runners this whole weekend. So, definitely.
Yeah, right. Weird.
You're going to hold your breath, turning for home, and if you have her, you're hoping she keeps going. If you don't, you're going to be low. Come on, somebody pass her. So I'm going to be, all in with the 6 and a 14 somehow. Mike, how do you close the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, well, John had me out late last night, so I didn't get to dive super deep into this race quite yet, and I was preparing for today, obviously. With the, but again, I was
didn't have any of that dust. You didn't have any of that space dust, did you?
I tried one. Yeah, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. Yeah, you got to try one. Feel like an IPA.
I got to try one.
But anyway, yeah. So I prepared pretty heavily for today for the contest, so I didn't get to this race. But I did go pretty quick and look through it. I agree with what John said. I mean, at first glance, I thought the 14 and the 6 were probably going to be the 2 that I would lean on, and the 2 would have been my third choice. She Feels Pretty is awesome. Could just run away with this without a doubt. But again, something's going to happen in this BCBC, and I don't think it's going to be the favorite. She Feels Pretty. So I'm kind of play it that way and say you're going to have some type of price to kind of win this thing. So I'll probably have to toss her. So that's kind of where I'm at. So sorry I wasn't totally prepared for that race, but that's kind of how I agree with what John was saying.
No, listen, again, marathon races, again, you talk about the 2 ends of the racing spectrums that we watch, 5 furlongs and 1.5 miles and 1 3/8. Where does the chaos occur? On either end of the spectrum, 5 furlongs or 1.5 miles. And that's where chaos comes in. And Mike or John, you mentioned about Stellify. I looked at that horse. I mean, again, if he doesn't know what kind of race he's in, he could get out there and just keep going. I like the fact that Giroux stays with him. Giroux knows him really well. When I looked at this race and I looked at that horse, there's 2 things that I thought about. One was I hope he gets a good post. Got the number 2 post. That's pretty nice. And I think he'd be able to save ground or go ahead and just save all the ground and maybe get out, and then maybe a couple other horses might go with him. But he'll be the horse with some speed, saving ground. The only thing that comes up that throws a little bit of a wrench into it is the Kentucky Downs curse. And then this horse last 2 times out ran at Kentucky Downs and won twice. And if I If one of these horses that I use, guys, happens to break the Kentucky Downs curse, I will be selling shirts at the next podcast that say, I broke the Kentucky Downs curse. We'll talk about that perhaps another time. But again, Cinderella's Dream, Diamond Rain, can't fault those. And I know you guys at that point are going to be really excited about what's going in your contest, in the Breeders' Cup contest. And I want to say one thing as well. Thank you both, especially Mike. It was nice to meet you and talk to you, and I look forward to meeting you in person at some point, somewhere, somehow. Enjoyed having you on the show with us. Your points were great, John. We know you and I will be together soon again, getting together. But I wish you guys both the best of luck. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you in terms of how you guys were doing with your picks today. I'm heading, John, I'm heading to JoJo's now. I don't know if there'll be any horse racing on there. I'm going to ask them if they have any space dust there. I hope I don't get thrown out by asking that question if they don't know what space dust is.
All right, get a bar pie with sausage for me.
You got it.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks
guys.
a lot. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, Mike, thank you for being with us. Appreciate you taking the time out of a busy day that I'm sure you guys have. But get back to business. Have a good day. And like we always say when we exit this program, let him run. I hope you guys did. Let him run to the window. So good luck, guys.
Yep. One last thing I wanted to point out from yesterday's podcast, we were all on a couple key horses. Two of them scratched today, which was, Precise, the Aidan O'Brien horse that was going to be the biggest favorite of the Breeders' Cup, probably, 4 to 5 area. He scratched. Supposedly got kicked in the head. She got kicked in the head yesterday in that Aidan's march as they were going around the track. Horses, in front of her kicked her. So Aidan O'Brien scratched her today. And then Blackout Time, the one that we were all talking about.
Yeah, boy, we were all over that horse,
possibly to give Ted Nafi a little challenge. It was a vet scratch. So it wasn't the camp itself, McPeak, to scratch it. It was a vet scratch. So that takes a lot of, my 2 key races for the contest were involving Precise and Blackout Time. So now I got to go back to the drawing board and come up with, something. So, makes Ted Nafi's job that much easier. If you didn't involve him before, that really helps. So, we'll see how the day pans out. But, thanks for listening, everybody. Mike, thanks for joining us, and let us get back to work now. And like we said, let him run, everybody.
All right. Thanks, guys. Dig in, guys.